Good morning, viewers of HTV. Thanks for joining us this Saturday for your program entitled Week Review. Remember, Week Review is a program that does a recap of the news that ran throughout the week. In the second part of this program, we are going to receive the President of the National Communication Council for Cameroon, Peter ESSOKA, with who we are going to exchange on the riot that occurred at the central prisons of Yaoundé and in Buea. Next in this program, we are going to receive Vanessa Balogok, who will do the chronic. The last but not the least, we shall have a rubric entitled No Comment. Before then, let's have this transition. We talk health in this program week review. The World Breastfeeding Week has been officially launched here in Cameroon this Thursday. Remember, every year from the 1st to the 7th of August, the World Breastfeeding Week is celebrated over 170 countries. It commemorates the Innocenti Declaration of August 1990, signed by the government policy makers, World Health Organizations, UNICEF and other organizations to protect, promote and support breastfeeding in the world. This year, the World Health Organization is working with UNICEF and partners to promote the importance of family-friendly policies to enable breastfeeding and to help parents nurture and bond with their children in early life when it matters most. Breastfeeding promote better health for mothers and children alike. Increasing breastfeeding to near universal levels could save more than 800,000 lives every year, the majority being children under 6 months. The World Health Organizations recommend exclusive breastfeeding starting with 1 hour after birth until a baby is 6 months old. Nutritious complementary food should then be added while continuing to breastfeed for up to 2 years or beyond. Remember, the World Breastfeeding Day is still ongoing. We continue still in this edition of your program Week Review. Every 31st of July has been designated by the African Union as the African Women's Day. This day was set aside to celebrate the African women, to draw attention to and focus on addressing maternal and neonatal mortality in Africa, more so to identify problems that need to be highlighted first for the day and then follow up on the activities. In Cameroon, the Minister of Women's Empowerment and the Family, Marie-Thérèse Abena-Ondwa, chaired this Wednesday in the Far North region of the country, most precisely at Kuseri, a ceremony to commemorate this 57th edition. Marie-Thérèse Abena-Ondwa called on these women to think equal like men, thus their contributions can influence decisions making in this country, Cameroon. We follow up still this week. The Minister of Small and Medium Size Enterprises, Social Economy and Handcraft, Achille Basilican D3, chaired the launching of the third working session on the role of the enterprises in Cameroon. this platform that was put in place on the 26th of July 2017 aims at exchanging on what companies should do. Also, it should be noted that it helps at developing strategies that will help to tackle up problems with whom the companies here in Cameroon most times face with an initiative which is really encouraged by these companies. Still in this news, the Minister of Housing and Urban Development, Celestine Kecha-Kutez, proceeded this Wednesday at the handing over of keys to the acquirers of the Olembe social residence. There were 5 in total who have received the keys of these lodgements. The project of the construction of 10,000 social residents was launched by the head of state, Paul Biya. The next persons to receive the keys to their homes are some inhabitants of the town of Douala. These keys were handed over to them still by the Minister Celestine Kecha-Kutez this Friday. It should actually be noted that this initiative is to help out some Cameroonians that are faced with these problems of lodgement. Insecurity in the far north region of the country, the Islamic extremists Boko Haram have cut off the ears of women. That was during the night raid on a rural town on Monday night. Members of the terrorist group Boko Haram attacked Gagari in Yagwa diocese in the far north region of the country. According to sources, they arrived in the night and took them to the outskirts and amputated one of each of their ears. They later released them, threatening and saying that they will be back. More so, inhabitants of the far north region right now live in fears because they are afraid that this terrorist group Boko Haram can be back at any time. We talk other things in this edition of your program week review. Clinton J video that is going viral on social medias barely few hours after signing a 4-year deal, I will rather say, with Dynamo Moscow. Clinton G, the Cameroon's internal released a sex tape on his Snapchat account Clinton 14, where he is seen making love with a young lady. The Cameroonian star rapidly deleted the video, but fans on social media had already downloaded the video, and its sharing is going wild on social media, especially among Cameroonians who have turned the case into derision, that is creating stickers and hashtags on Clinton. And also we note that it is not the first time that he is involved in such situations. On May 2nd, during a friendly game between Cameroon and Burkina Faso in France, Clinton G was allegedly seen with 2 ladies in his hotel room while the Indomitable Lions were still in camp. A quarrel letter was being issued to him by the federation, but nothing transpired in terms of concrete sanctions. Meantime, we actually note that the international Clinton G apologized for the video that he spread on his Twitter account Clinton 14. We continue continue, we talk eulogy in this edition of your program. The former Prime Minister Sadou Ayatou has passed away. He died this Thursday as a result of a long illness in Geneva. He served as the fourth Prime Minister of Cameroon from the 26th of April 1991 to the 9th of April 1992. After his stint as Prime Minister, Ayatou became the National Director of the Bank of Central African State, abbreviated Buea.He, leaving the post on January 1st, 2008, I would rather say, despite the official retirement age at the bank being 60, Ayatou was kept in his post for 5 additional years by the Buea.He governor. In August 2018, his wife, Senator Peter Ayatou, denied the false rumors that was actually going viral on social medias, announcing the death of her husband. That is that for that info. Right now, we move to sport. Cameroon's volleyball Lions are vice champions of the 2019 Men's African Volleyball Cup of Nations that ended in Tunisia. The volleyball Lions, bound to 9-time title holders, and host Tunisia during the tie break of the finals of the competition, as the encounter ended on a 2-3 set result. During the first set, the Lions imposed themselves with 25-23 scores. Tunisia bounced back during the second and the third set with 25-20 and 26-24. Cameroon later secured the fourth set with 25-21, and unfortunately in the fifth set they lost to Tunisia with 13-15 set. We still talk sport in this program. The end of season at the basketball league here in Yaoundé, that is here in the Santa region. I beg your pardon. The team of the Onyx came out champions in these regional finals that opposed Onyx with Overdose. The meeting ended up with a score of 43 set against 33 set for Overdose. For the Overdose team, meantime, the lottery draw for the Afro Basket Feminine African Cup of Nations that was being done this Monday reveals that Cameroon will play in Pool B. The competition will take place in Senegal, precisely in the town of Dakar. We actually note that it's an opportunity for these players, for the best players of these competitions, to rather they can be selected for these upcoming games at the end of this competition. The best scorer expressed her joy in this excerpt. Let's have a view of it.
This final, I tried my best. Let me just say like this, because I was very determined, and I believe in myself. That is first of all the first thing. I believe in myself. So even though most of our players were not in this competition, they went for the camp of Andy Miem in Douala. Notwithstanding the fact, we still make up with the under 18 of the Onyx club.
We remain in sport. The extraordinary session of the General Assembly of the Cameroon Football Federation FECAFOOT took place this July 26th at the Monfebe Hotel in Yaoundé with 8 resolutions arrived at. They come together that had as aim, among others, the consideration and adoption of the budget estimates for the year 2019 after some hours of deliberations with 69 delegates are present in accordance with the provisions of Article 22, 25, 26 and 27 of the FECAFOOT status. The following resolutions were adopted. Let's have a view of the excerpt of the president of the FECAFOOT, Seydou Bombom Joya, who was speaking to the press on that occasion.
This text was done, prepared by our predecessors. Most of them, a few of them, have any link with football. Most of them, as you know, are mostly experts in juridical aspects. So that's what they were put for, because of their expertise, but not for the expertise of football. Now we have the experts of football. That's why we have to check whether they have done a job linked with our job. This is one point. Second point, yes, youth and women.
Do you think there is problem?
Listen, you have to understand that we are not a committee for gérer les affaires. We are not there anymore. We are there elected to organize football, to transform football, to reform, to reconstruct football. So therefore, now it's finished. Time to take care of the affair football is finished. We have competition. It was very hard. The World Cup. Now we have to work. So I have decided that next season we need to have our league, as we promised, our league, Women's Foot League and Youth League. And it's very strange because this is the two competitions where we have been good. We won the African Cup for youth, under 17. We are creating a league. It makes sense. We are, whatever people can say, we came the final for the World Cup for the girls. It's perfect for us. That's what the minimum that we should ask them was that stage. They came at that stage, and in a good image, mean that we have to organize our league of football. So, youth league is important. That's what we are doing. That's our problem. Now, regarding the president of the league, it was only a wish because we cannot change the program of the order du jour that we have here. We have expressed our will to see the next General Assembly have this.
We remain in sport. A mini tournament has been organized this Wednesday at Bankomo, organized by the FECAFOOT. 4 different clubs coming from different towns took part in this competition, among which we had the Phoenix Association. Equally, we had the Renaissance of Douala and Fondation Tafi, just to name a few. At the end of this tournament, we note that some players expressed their satisfaction, as we have in this excerpt that we are going to have a view.
My ambition is to be the best, ever best, and to go forward and forward. The impression was so good. It was so good.
Why?
I can see my face. I'm so happy. Though the minimum category we lost, but that's not the end. It's to continue hard and hard. Thank you.
The president of Tafi, which was equally a club that took part in this tournament, was very proud of the performance of his players, as he said to Marina Govina. Let's have a view.
Yes, I think that I'm very happy because my students, I have 90% of result of any exam. in my school. So I'm very glad I have GCE and BPC.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
The objective of this mini tournament that took place this Wednesday, we note, is actually to encourage these young players that will like to have a brilliant future in sport. On to rather think in this program entitled Week Review, our second part, which is entitled The Guests. Ladies and gentlemen, here we are right now in the second part of our program entitled Week Review. You know, the first part of that program does the recap of the news that run throughout the week. In the second part, we are going to receive a very important personality who is none other person than Peter ESSOKA, the president of the National Council for Communication for Cameroon. You all know him. He's here with us today, and we are going to talk of the different tribulations that occurred at the central prison of Kodengui, equally in Buea. What we're interested to know is the role of the press in these tribulations. That is, if the press has a role to play in what occurred. He is here with us. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. I mean, it's strange you ask me what role the press has to play. The press always has a role to play. The press is there to inform people, and consequently, everybody expects that the press will come out and talk about certain events. It's unfortunate that these events took place in Yaoundé and in Buea. Whatever must have been the cause, there are things that probably investigations are going on, and we shall be told. Unfortunately, however, there are so many rumors and different kinds of interpretations to the whole event, which I don't want to dwell on, because we're now used to what the social media sometimes comes up with and what the ordinary press comes up with. And you know, there are charlatans also, even within the ordinary press. What role can the press play? The press is not there to inflame. The press is to moderate. The press has a social duty and a social responsibility. And I think we would like to find a press, a responsible press, that speaks of facts, that speaks of truth, and not half-truths. And if we are not certain about certain things, don't say it. I like a press where there is a lot of verification, investigation, and the ability to find out what has happened actually, rather than hearsay, because sometimes it is just a matter of rumors and people carry it and make one hell of information out of that. But that is not what we expect of the press. And we have to check on our content, because many pressmen don't even know what content is. They just come because they can speak to people. They don't go into the depth of what they are saying. So I expect, and I've always expected, and that's what we have gone around trying to preach, if I should call it preaching, the gospel of responsibility of the press. Because our country is in a state where there are lots and lots of things that, if the press is not careful about, can destroy the society. And that's what we don't expect of a good and mature press. You know, the social upheavals in the northwest and southwest regions and all the other regions that have problems. It is the duty of the press to relate that information with maturity and responsibility, and that's what we expect of the press. And that's the role of the press, nevertheless, because people have to know what it is and should not guess. I heard from this radio, I heard from that radio. There should be some uniformity in the information that is given out, especially for events that take place and we know what happened.
Talking about this very crucial event that happened, it's true the press have to verify, but most of the time are the press allowed to have the correct infos about these very peculiar informations?
There are times when the press has to wait. It is not because an information is not given to you immediately. It means you have to formulate information. You have to have the right sources. And when I come to responsibilities, because there are times when certain pressmen and women are not the kind that should go to certain places, I don't see why information should be refused any press person whom those who are given that information consider as responsible. Because you know, of course, as I said earlier, there are charlatans, and they come out and even the information that is given to them is not properly relayed and given out to the population. The press is so free in this country. I mean, very free. Truly, there is classified information, and those who are in those areas may withhold certain information. When full investigations have not been made of an event, there's no point coming out with results, half truths. There must be a full investigation, and they will come out with the result of that investigation. So pressmen could be patient to get their information before they go on to press and say whatever they want to say.
We talked about the press being free here in Cameroon, but most of the time we see some journalists being arrested during, we talk about doing some works or during some exchange. What do we really have to say about that?
It's not only in Cameroon that journalists are arrested. The profession is one of risks. Journalists take risks and they go for certain information even when they are stopped from doing so. Sometimes the way they interpret information, and if a certain class of people are not in favor of what the journalist has come up with, there's a tendency for them to be angry with and try to exercise their power over the journalists. I can give you the example of the journalist from Equinox some time ago. Was that Mili Mefo? And after we explained, the council explained to the Ministry of Defense the necessity not to arrest this young lady, and that if they had a case against her, they should bring it to the National Communication Council. And eventually, the Defense Ministry heeded to our call, and this young lady was released. She was released. It all depends also on where the journalists themselves, you know, go for their information and go for the solutions that they require. The council has helped a number of journalists free them from difficulties. But then, as I said, everywhere, even in the United States, where we claim to be, we claim that it is the freest of nations, there are always problems with journalists.
So, Mr. Peter ESSOKA, how can the press help us out in this turbulent situation that occurred in the Kodengui prison and Buea? How can the press help us to get out of this?
The press cannot help you get out of it in the way you think, but the press can only give you the kind of information you need. And when they give you that information, it is left for you to judge, because there are some people whom, when the press gives them information, they say, you've told a lie, or it's not the truth, and that kind of thing. But then people have to learn to depend on the press on what the press says, especially, as I said, if it is a matured press.
So if you advise the press or one word to them, what would you say?
I will say be careful the way you report on these issues, because you can either destroy or build.
That was Mr. Peter ESSOKA that was speaking to you on the role the press should play in different issues concerning our country, Cameroon. Thanks for listening.
That was Peter ESSOKA, the president of the National Council for Communication here in Cameroon, speaking on the role of the press, yes, in turbulent situations, in a troubling situation also. That was the what the exchange was based on. We move right now to the other segment that is entitled The Chronique. Remember, The Chronique does an analysis of a subject of our choice, and here with me to talk that we are going to receive Vanessa Balugok. Good morning, Vanessa.
Good morning, Imelda, and good morning to all the viewers of HTV.
So, how do you do?
I'm fine, and you?
I'm equally very good. Remember, Vanessa is a journalist, yes, and what are we going to talk about today?
Today, you know, is the international,
African?
Like, as you know, we celebrated on the 31st of July, the International African Woman Day. So we're going to talk about the African woman, how she has, in some way, evoluted in the society, her emancipation, and the role she has to play in the society.
The African women, or rather say, how she has evoluted in the society, and the role she should play here in society. Vanessa, you have the floor.
Thank you, Imelda. As you know, Imelda, the woman is the mother of the humanity.
Yes.
The woman is a queen, as you say.
Yes.
And to cite a renowned poem, she is the eyes of the king's apple. So, the woman is the mother of all, as you know. So, she has the capacity to endure. She has an inner strength that she herself cannot imagine.
Yes.
But as things change, as the society is evaluating, the woman has now known what they call the emancipation of the African woman. So what is actually the emancipation of the African woman? Has the woman taken this emancipation the right way or the wrong way? That is the question we will try to answer here. The woman, as we know, she is more and more respected in the society. And thanks to her intelligence, her fighting spirit, the African woman can now say she is proud of herself. It is true the concept of gender equality is finding its place more and more in the African society and even in Cameroon, yes, because we have women who are now taking part in the decision process of the country. So the question is, does this mean that the African woman should consider herself equal to the man or at the same level with the man? That is the question. We shall say no, no, and no. The African woman in particular and the Cameroonian woman is not considered actually at the same level with the man. The concept of feminism or gender equality should not be an opportunity for the woman to disrespect the man or to forget her place in the African society. So it is unfortunate to notice this, but modernity has transformed the African woman. Some have forgotten that the man is and will always remain the head of the family, and that she was made out of him. So we are not actually denying the fact that the woman or the African woman should fight for her rights and for her destiny, but this should not be done by baffling the image the society and the world in general has about the woman. She incarnates all the positive values in the world, and this should not change no matter the era in which we found ourselves.
So it should not change, Vanessa, no matter the era in which we find ourselves. The African women remains that woman who has all the values that we need. But let's go back to your chronic. You said the woman should not consider herself as being equal with men. But what do we await from women when we celebrate the African Women Day?
Actually, the African Women Day is a day for the African woman to be proud of what she can do as a woman.
Yes.
Not to say, I am a woman, I can do all what the man can do. It is true. They mostly say that what a man can do, a woman can do.
Yes.
But the woman, the African woman, as we all know, is a respectful woman. She is a submissive woman. She fights for herself. We don't refuse that she should fight for herself. But she should not, how can I put it? She should not overestimate.
Yeah, she should not overestimate herself.
Overestimate herself. Let's say she cannot say that I can, for example, be the head of the family. I can wear the trouser, as they usually say. The woman, the African woman, as we all know, should have she's more of a peaceful agent. She's more of the person who takes care of the other, who is always there to arrange the situation and not to bring disorder.
So should we retain that the African Women Day is an opportunity to sensitize on women on the role that is the role they play in the society, that is they should be peace agent, as you mentioned, in their families. They should actually be very submissive to their husbands, as you said, and they shouldn't consider themselves as equal. But so what is the particularity actually of these women in our society? It's true a woman should be submissive, but what else? How can she be heard in the society?
The woman is heard in many ways in the society now, because as you know, we can see women are now in the General Assembly. We have women in some other African countries even who are presidents. We have women who are ministers now. So that is the positive role the woman can play in the society. And when they put a woman somewhere, it's for her to serve as an example to other women. So this day is actually to celebrate, for me, to celebrate those women.
It's true there are some, it's true that some women that are already involved. You mentioned the General Assembly in some very important positions here in the country. You actually meet some women, but we think it's not yet enough. I think that is why the African Union thought it wise to create the 31st of July, to celebrate these women and more so encourage them that they can actually impact the society in one way or the other. That is, they should not limit themselves in the house being just submissive, because if they limit themselves being in the house and they say obviously I'm in the house, I'm submissive to my husband, I'm a good woman, that is not going to influence our country. It's not going to help our country to grow or develop. And I think for me, women should reason. Yes, they should be able to reason like these men, and actually it is going to help develop our country, because they are decision makers of this country, and I think no matter which decision they take can influence our country positively. So I would like to know from your point of view, what do you think about that?
For me, I am not actually refusing that the woman should not only stay in the house to maybe say submissive to her husband, or to just prepare for the husband, or to just care for the children. The woman should do that, and she should also, in fact, she should also fulfill her professional rights. You see, as you earlier said, she should fulfill her professional rights. And for me, both can go together, because most of the women nowadays, it is true we are women, we cannot really accept that, but the society has proven that when a woman has a bigger post in the society, has a role to play in decision making, it's always difficult. It's more difficult for her to take the decision. It's more difficult for her to manage both her home and her professional life. She will have a tendency to
more emotional.
She'll have a tendency to mostly prefer her professional career than her family, and she can, and in most cases, let me put it like that, the woman minimize her husband. She will no longer.
She will minimize her husband.
She will not. Yes, for those women who actually have a bigger salary than their husband, they will think that they are the head of the families. So it is true in the African society. We will think that no, that's a minor affair, but it's a process. It's an issue that is growing more and more over the years. And if we are not careful, the woman will no longer have this place we are giving to her in the society. The woman can do both. The woman can be a political woman. She can be an actress. She can be all what you want to be. But the woman should remember. She should remember she's a woman. She's a woman after all. The face of the African woman we know. That everybody knows. We know the African woman is a peaceful woman. She's a fighting woman. She has all the positive values a woman, in fact, that we know in this world.
Well, we got your point of view very well. So let's come back to our country, Cameroon. You know, most women, when we talk about Cameroon, women are involved. Surely they are faced, or rather say it like that, with many difficulties. So if you can mention some of those difficulties women here are faced with, and ways out maybe to this plight.
For instance, we have women who are still not allowed to speak in the society. Like when the man talks, we have some cultures like that here in our country. Yes. When the men speak, they say the woman should not be there. The woman should not sit on the same table with the men. And we used to equally have this practice, which is common in the extreme north region.
That's excision?
Yes. This practice actually is not a form of respect for the woman. In fact, let's say it is even a factor which baffles the rights of the woman. So these are some of the difficulties the woman still faces in the society. At times she cannot talk. Even some women are not even allowed to work by their husband. The man will say, no, you stay in the house because you are the woman. And these are some cases.
Let's note that some prefer staying at home.
Yes, some prefer staying at home.
Some prefer staying at home.
And let me tell you something, it's true, they are African women. But those who prefer staying at home, we shall say this day it's maybe not for them, because we are celebrating the strong working African woman. Even if she goes to the farm, she's an African woman. And she's a hard-working woman. That's the kind of women we should celebrate. Yes. That's the kind of women we celebrate.
So you mentioned these problems. What are the different way out? That if you can propose some ways out to these problems, Vanessa?
I think there are different NGOs taking care of these situations. For instance, excision, as you said earlier. There are different NGOs. Human rights equally, they fight against this discrimination, because for them it's a form of discrimination against women. And it should be banned from the society. It is true that we've already gotten positive results concerning this fight, but the practice still continues in remote areas. Let's say in the extreme north region of the country.
Talking about even the extreme north of the country, there's Aïssa Doumara that won the prize in France. I think it was even this year for her fight. For all the actions that she's doing to fight these different.
Received a sum of money, an amount of money, which is going to help her to continue her fight.
That's going to help her to continue her fight. So those are some of the initiatives we can try and encourage that can help to actually that can help us to get away of these practices. And we even forgot actually to mention, still in the far north region, and mostly where it is practiced, some young girls that have been sent out to marriage at early ages. You find a girl at 10, 12 years, she's already married. Why? Because there's no one to fight for her. There is no one to stand up and say, stop, I shouldn't do, I want to do like this and not rather like that. So if you want to pass out a message to these women, what are you going to say?
To these women, to really pass a message to them, you have to pass the message to their parents, because actually they are the ones sending them at early marriages, because they fear of maybe that the girl should go in the house, and people will start saying that no, she's already old, she has to go and marry. That's why it's very difficult to see Muslims who really have a great level of education. It's true, it's growing, it's going more and more nowadays.
There's some
Yes.
Muslims that are
modern Muslims.
that
yes.
occupies
Yes.
very
Modern.
big posts in our country.
Modern. That's why I said modern Muslims.
Yes.
They now allow it. That's equally a fight that people are equally carrying high. So it's equally obtaining good results concerning these forceful marriages, because parents have seen that sending a child to school is equally an advantage, because if the child works, she can equally take care of her parents rather than sending her into an early marriage. And maybe most of the time the man to whom they are giving out in marriage already has maybe 4 or 5 wives, so she's just coming there to be maybe the 10th or the how many? Yes. So that
the 10th
yes.
or the how many, you don't know.
Yes.
You don't know which position she's going to even occupy in that house. So today in our chronic we're talking about the African woman. Yes, we know the African woman is that woman that has a lot of value.
Yes.
She has a lot of virtues. As one of my favorite singers always sing. Yes, the African woman has a lot of values. That is a flavor. I was already talking of. So right now, Vanessa, thanks for coming. Thanks for talking about the African women, because we want them to be strong in the society. Thanks for coming once more.
You're welcome, Imelda, and see you next time.
See you next time. Vanessa, which we remind is a journalist. She was here with me. We move on to this last but not the least chronic entitled No Comment. No comment. Here we go.
No matter how much water I pour into this bucket, no matter how long I wait, it will never get full. Why? The water is leaking on arrival. African nations are like this bucket. Africa has leaks of corruption. And so it does not matter how much tax we collect from the citizen. It does not matter how much donation we get from the developed countries. It does not matter how much we borrow. So long as the leaks of corruption are still there, the visions we have for our country will still remain a mirage. Why? The money is leaking out on arrival. I pity the hoi polloi, that is the simple citizen. Imagine the tax you are paying is leaking out into the hands of few merciless devourers who are using the public funds to galvanize themselves against poverty. Who will help us block these leaks of corruption? Do you think one person can single-handedly block these leaks? I believe it has to be an orchestra of the leaders and the citizens who have vowed to slay this monster called corruption. We see the corruption leaks everywhere. At our workplace we see them. In our business premises we see them. But what are we doing about it? Because if we continue this way, we are passing this into generations and the generations to come. It all starts with what each and every one of us is doing on a daily basis.
That was the last but not the least segment of our program entitled No Comment. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, week review is a program that is being broadcast at every Saturday at 10:30 a.m. We have come to the end of this other edition of your favorite program, and for that we thank Vanessa for being with us here today. Thanks for coming. We equally thank le doux Sévérin that is here with us today. We actually thank William Kamga. He actually took part in the realization of this program. Thanks. See you next time when it's going to be 10:30 a.m. Saturday.